Hello, hello, awesome humans. All right. Today, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite concepts, and this is one of the core elements of what I call the reinventable mindset, and it's called the zone of greatness. Are you excited to uncover your zone of greatness? I hope you said yes. I mean, I can't hear you, but I hope you said yes. Doesn't that sound awesome? Like, uncover my zone of greatness? You have one. You absolutely have one. And I think what I share today will help you uncover it. So, I want to start with a story. And the story, I love it because it actually combines two of the elements of having a reinventable mindset and possibility thinking. I'll explain what that is, and the zone of greatness. So here's a story. One of my clients leads a team at a large company. And several months ago, they had a series of cuts on the team that reduced the number of people on the team significantly by about 70%. And I think, we're living in time of so much change and corporate change and uncertainty that most of you probably have been in some kind of a similar situation, right? Where there's just this sudden difficult change and it's completely outside of your control. And of course, there was a lot of different emotions on the team, including a lot of people who were left were still there on the team, feeling uncertain and worried about their jobs and feeling fear about what's going to happen and having to pick up the work. And it's really difficult when something like that happens. And so my client, who was leading this team, talked to her team about these two elements: possibility thinking and stepping into the zone of greatness. And I'm going to share what they are and what happened. Possibility thinking is the idea that when something happens, when change happens that is not within your control, the natural thing that our human brain does, the brain has a negativity bias. So our brain naturally looks for all the negative things because it wants to protect us from danger, right? And danger has negative stimuli. So whenever something happens that is difficult or a change we didn't anticipate, the brain immediately goes into what I call obstacle thinking. Okay, what other bad things are going to happen? How is this bad for me? How is this making my job more difficult, etc.? But when you practice the reinventable mindset, you can shift, you can choose, instead of focusing on all the obstacles, right? And this isn't about ignoring challenges, but instead of focusing on all the obstacles, you can instead practice possibility thinking. So you can instead ask, okay, these things are difficult. This is what happened. What are new possibilities that might be opening up because of this change? Maybe it's new ways that I want to grow. Maybe it's new skills that I want to acquire or new skills I want to bring forth. Maybe there's something I've always wanted to do, and this is an opportunity for me to do it. So you're literally giving your brain a different map, right? So the brain naturally has this negativity bias map, this map of all the negative things about the change. And instead, when you practice possibility thinking, you're putting that map away and you're taking out a different map. And this is a map of possibilities. What are possible ways that I could grow and expand? How is this change inviting me? It's one of my favorite questions to ask when I work with leaders and teams, right? How is this change inviting me to grow and expand? So that's possibility thinking. So this leader that I worked with talked about that concept. And the other piece is the zone of greatness. So what is the zone of greatness? All right, this is the exciting moment that I was telling you about. Your zone of greatness is the intersection of three things. So think of three circles that are intersecting. I'm not sure I did that quite right with my hands, but go with me here. Three circles that intersect. And the circles are what you love to do, what you're really great at doing, and where you want to have the deepest impact. So again, your zone of greatness is the intersection between what you love to do, what you're really great at, and where you want to have the deepest impact. So I hope you're taking notes, right? That's your zone of greatness, because I want you to marinate on what yours is afterwards. So this leader that I work with talked about these concepts with her team. And I think it was about a week later, a member of her team came to her and said, all right, I want to suggest something. I know that I have not been handling our community and social media initiatives, but we lost the few members of the team that were, and I don't have a ton of experience doing it, but I'm really great at writing. I love our customers. I love our community. And I think I can really make an impact and help our team and the organization by picking up adding that responsibility to what I do. Think about how beautiful this is And beautiful is the word that comes to mind. So think about how beautiful this shift is. So going from, my God, we lost 70% of our team. What's going to happen to my job, right? Obstacle thinking, it limits possibilities. It kind of makes us close up, shifting into possibility thinking and the zone of greatness. This member of the team started to ask, okay, given what has happened, what is this inviting me to do? How could I grow because of this change or through this change? And then really connecting to their zone of greatness and thinking about, wait, I really love to write and I'm really great at writing. I love community and our customers and communicating with them. And I really want to have an impact. I want to help our team and I want to help our organization. And that way, found their zone of greatness, applied possibility thinking, and boom, shifted completely out of that negativity spiral, which difficult things cause our brain to go into. And yes, so this leader that I work with, she said, I think this is a great idea. Let's talk about some of the things you need to learn and where we can get those resources and what you need. How can we support you in expanding your role? But think about the beauty of all of this. So this team member is now picking up additional responsibility, doing something they're excited to do. So they're growing as part of this change. Something that needs to get done on the team is getting done. So the organization is benefiting. And think about how it feels when you're expanding. Think about how it feels, the difference between feeling stuck, feeling like things are outside of your control, feeling like you don't have choices, being stuck and thinking about how is this bad for me? What's going to go wrong, right? And the difference between that and thinking about what is possible. How is this change inviting me to grow? And actually taking steps to expand and grow and bring new dimensions of yourself in. How great it feels to be in your zone of greatness. I actually want you to think about, what, just marinate on it for a moment, what your zone of greatness is. And the one way to get to it is backwards. What are some moments? Maybe there are moments at work or in your life when you just feel lit up inside. That's the best way I can describe it. Right. So for example, for me, speaking is one of those things. I love to do it, whether it's 2 people or 10,000 people. I love it. It just lights me up and I'm really great at it. I'm great at taking lots of ideas and bringing them together through storytelling and helping people understand them. And that is where I feel I have the deepest impact, is by communicating my lessons learned, these ideas in ways that engage people and transform their lives. That's my zone of greatness. So you might think about it backwards. Think about some of the moments in your career, for example, in your life where you felt really lit up inside. And then think about, what were you doing? Were you doing something you loved, you're great at? Were you having a positive impact? I promise you all those 3, because that's when we are in our zone of greatness, we are most fulfilled. And this is such an important connection that I just want to emphasize for you between growing and fulfillment. We as human beings are not meant to be static. We are meant to grow and expand, right? To uncover our many different dimensions. And when we do that, we are the most fulfilled because we are expanding into more of who we are. That's what reinvention is. Reinvention is not about becoming someone new or some different person. It's about becoming more of who you are, about uncovering more of your amazing, unique dimensions, about expressing them in ways that positively impact others, just like this member of the team that I told you about did. And so I'm so inspired by that story. And I want you to really take it with you and recognize that when you practice possibility thinking, when you step into your zone of greatness, you're not just benefiting yourself because you're growing, you're expanding, you're more fulfilled. That is how you create the positive impact I know all of you want to have, because that is when you are at your very best. That is when you are at your most energized, you're at your highest capacity, you're sharing your gifts. And that is how we create the most positive impact there is. Not by trying to become someone, not by pushing ourselves harder, but by stepping and acting from our zone of greatness, from the combination of what I love to do, what I'm great at, and where I have or want to have the deepest impact. So your homework, because I love to give homework, your homework is to think about your zone of greatness. Couple ways to do that I mentioned, just to reiterate. You might think back through your life and career and just look for those moments when you felt like fully alive and fulfilled. Like for me, it's this feeling of like, this is it. This is what I'm meant to be doing. Like I'm on fire. Look for those moments, write down what they were, and look for commonalities. What were you doing during those moments? Because there are your hints about what you love to do, what you're great at naturally, where you love, where you have the deepest impact. And then the other way you can think about your zone of greatness is actually draw these three intersecting circles and reflect on, what do I love to do? What am I great at? What comes pretty effortlessly to me? And where do I have the deepest impact? And think about it in your life. Think about it in the context of work. It's a really, really beautiful, meaningful exercise. And then the second part is to ask yourself, how can I act from my zone of greatness in new ways in my work? So what is one thing that I could do in my work or in my life that is from my zone of greatness? And that is how we grow. That is how you grow. That is how you expand. And I promise you, it's an amazing feeling. And that is also how you create the greatest positive impact you can have. That's all I have for you today. Awesome humans. Thank you as always for hanging with me, for giving me a piece of your day, your heart, and your mind. As always, I love knowing what resonates. Shoot me an email, Natalie@happier.com, Natalie@happier.com. I want to hear about your zone of greatness. Email me. Let me know what you're coming up with. I want to cheer you on. I want to see, and if you're stuck, you can also email me. I'll help you out. I love doing that with people I work with. I'm happy to do it for you. And I will be back in your ear or on your screen if you're watching on YouTube next week. Have an awesome rest of your week. And definitely take some time to think about your zone of greatness and to identify one more way, one thing that you could start doing that you're not doing right now in your work or life that can be from your zone of greatness. I promise you, it's going to light you up inside. Have an awesome rest of your week.